And welcome back to MD Global Muscle here at the On the RiZe Media studio with me, your host, Giles Thomas. And we are joined by, finally, all the way from Australia, Jake Nikolopoulos. Yay!
Got it.
Did I get your name right?
You did, mate. You did.
Oh,
well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Well,
you're probably one of the first guys to get it right. A lot of the American guys, they've never got it right. So well done.
Oh, really? How do they say it? Do they really butcher it?
I think, well, Dave Palumbo, I think, said Nikolopoulos.
Nick Hippopotamus.
Yeah, exactly.
So, well, I should, because my dad lives in Cyprus, so I've got kind of Greek connections.
I saw you post something the other day about your dad in Cyprus, and I said, "Oh, there you go."
Yeah, yeah. So you're obviously, were you born in Australia? Where's the Greek side come from? Where does that originate from?
So dad's born in Greece. Oh. I'm born in Australia, and mum's actually Italian. So mum's side's Italy, dad's Greece. Mm-hmm. So yeah, a bit of a mixture.
Oh, okay, okay. So you're brought up in Australia?
Yeah, so I've been brought up in Melbourne, Australia my whole life, yeah. So dad was the only one that was born overseas. He was born in Greece.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, I wanted to get you on because, firstly, I don't know how you started following me. I started following you in the lead up to the Arnold Australia, which obviously was sadly cancelled. I was checking because you were about to make your pro debut, and I was watching all your, looking at all your progress pictures, and I was thinking, shit, this guy's really good. I mean, maybe you might not have made top three because, you know, the big names usually occupy those spaces at the shows like the Arnold Australia. But I thought this guy's going to make a splash, you know, even if he doesn't get top three, he's going to do well. And then obviously we had Tony Doherty on, and he explained the whole story about how the show was cancelled, how he went ahead with it. So tell us, because obviously you're yet to make your pro debut. Tell us how that affected you, and you know, tell us about that.
Look, I think it definitely put a little bit of a down on things because it was such a good prep as well. It was obviously my pro debut year before I got my pro card for winning the overall at the 2019 Arnold Classic Amateur here in Australia. So the lead up and the prep was just spot on. It was perfect. I was the heaviest that I'd been. This was probably the first year where I really started to kind of come into my own in terms of conditioning as well. I started to get that really thin skin, kind of grainy look, which I haven't had. So I'm 30 years old now, and I think it's honestly taken until now was the first time I really kind of see that quality to the muscle. Yeah. So I wouldn't say that it was diet. I wouldn't say that it was training. I think it's just years that kind of gave me that look. And it was the first time that I was bringing that. So everyone in my crew and in my camp was really excited because it was the best that I've ever been. Yeah. And yeah, like I said, the prep was an absolute dream all the way up. And it was probably a week before I think I spoke to Tony, and Tony just kind of, you know what? In my mind, though, I thought the worst case scenario would have been the same situation that happened in Columbus, Ohio. Yeah. I thought that and that was in my mind. I thought, okay, that is the worst case scenario. I just set that up. So I thought 100% competing. Only because that was probably, what was it, 14 days or something before the Australia, or a week or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, when I got to Columbus, I landed in, where was it? I forget where it was, in one of the American countries, Detroit or something. And I turned my phone on, and they were like, the expo's cancelled. I was like, no! I thought people were joking. And then obviously, as I was there for 5 days, and literally we were getting updates from hour to hour, and it was just shocking news after shocking news. So, so obviously with the Arnold Australia 1 week after the Columbus, Ohio Arnold, it was like I can't imagine. So when did you start getting an inkling that it might go tits up?
Oh, no, honestly, I think probably maybe 5 days before the show. That was when I spoke to Tony, and he said, "Look, I'm not 100%. What's going to happen." He said, but, you know, I think that there may be a possibility, because he said the expo was definitely called off. Yeah. And he said, look, be prepared. He said, I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen here. If they did start to go down the way of which they did eventually with the flight and things like that, I think that was obviously a huge risk that Tony just couldn't take. Like, I understand 100% why everything had to go. It did, but it was literally, so we were that last week. I reckon if we were pushed back 1 week before, we would have been fine.
Did you not try and get an invite to the actual Arnold Classic in Columbus, or was you just purely the Arnold Australia you were going to make your pro debut at?
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing for me, is because I wanted to get on stage in front of my home crowd, my family and friends in Australia.
No travel.
And that's why I kind of want to, you know, for the debut, I just thought that that would be ideal for everyone that knows me to come and see me. So yeah, and then it probably wasn't until literally a few days before that's when Tony said, "Look, it's, you know, it's off." And I was, it was very hard to, when he first told me, I was like, "Oh, okay," all right, it was called off. And then I think once it actually sunk in, it was just like, fuck, you know, everything, that whole prep, how well it all went, and obviously a 20-week prep, you put so much into it, whether it's work, family, commitments, everything kind of gets put on hold, or, you know, is pushed to the side to fit into this bodybuilding lifestyle.
So that was a 20-week prep?
Yeah, that was a 20-week prep. Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah. So obviously, I mean, Rami's still stuck in, I spoke to his manager last week. He's still stuck in Dubai because he was on his way to the Arnold Australia.
I saw that. Yeah,
he's still there. But I mean, he's got connections in Dubai, so he's going to be fine, and he's got contracts, so he's got money to live off, and he's doing well. But he's probably better off there, actually. Sorry.
Didn't he post up a picture that he's with like the Prince of Dubai or something over there?
Oh, is he? I've not seen that.
I think he's doing more than okay.
Yeah. Well, I heard I heard a rumor of what one of his contract amounts is, and he's fine. Trust me.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
He definitely.
So what's your height and weight? What would it have been, say, if you had stepped on stage at Arnold Australia?
So I don't know in feet. I'm 172 centimeters tall.
Oh, not again. They're doing this centimeter thing again, Kaleem. He did. So the last guy did that. He said it was 163. I'm like, what's that?
We'll have to get the apps out. We'll have to get the. Hang on. Let me just make this easier for the viewers at home. Are
you short, medium, or tall? 5'9"?
It depends on how you would like to comprehend that.
So what are you, 5'10", 5'9"?
Yeah, I think it might be around, so 5'8".
Oh, 5'8", okay. So what would you be on stage? Because you're holding a lot of mass.
So I was going into that show, I weighed in like 2 days before the show at about 110.
110, so that's
kilograms.
220, that's 242 at 5'8", and you were in really good condition as well.
Yeah, and that was in really good condition. Like, I've been heavier before, but I wouldn't have had, glutes in or anything. Like, it wasn't that peeled. So for me, that was definitely my best look by far.
Oh, so you were lighter. You would have been lighter for your pro debut than when you turned pro the year before at the Arnold Australia, at the amateur.
No. I'm just saying, in the past, I have come in heavier.
Okay. Wow,
yeah, but nowhere near. Nowhere. Even in, I think, where was I? Probably 2012 when I did the NABBA Universe against Tony Mount. I think I was around about the same weight, but I wasn't nowhere near his condition.
I didn't know you'd done the NABBA Universe.
Yeah, so I competed with NABBA first. So I think I did 2010. I started with NABBA.
Okay.
And then I won the NABBA Worlds in 2013 in Italy.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
And then I got my pro card with NABBA, and I competed with NABBA for as a NABBA pro for 3 years. And then I came second to Tony Mount in 2016 at the NABBA Pro Universe. Oh,
fantastic! To be honest, if I probably saw pictures, I'd recognise you. I've just not connected the two up. You know.
Yeah, and then and it was after that show where I just wanted to keep moving up. So that's when I always wanted to be an IFBB pro, but I wanted to always sort of have those stepping stones where I just kept on leveling up, getting better and better, because I think if I straight away jumped into the IFBB pro circuit or got my IFBB pro card in Australia, because back then when I was competing, there wasn't really a major pool of athletes that would come to Australia to get a pro card.
Yeah.
So I thought that it was better for me to go through the NABBA circuit, sort of got to the top of that, and then started with the IFBB. So at least now that I've made the transition to IFBB pro, it's not as if I'm going to look, way too out of place.
Well, plus there's a bit of is an opportunity to travel with the amateur side, because NABBA's always been quite prominent in Australia. But now, is it because of like Tony Doherty and the Arnold? Is that why the Pro League and the IFBB overall, the NPC worldwide, is that why it's kind of making a bit of a resurgence with guys like yourself?
Yeah, 100%. Because it was never like that. I think Tony only had one pro show that was back before it was called FinX.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it is now. So that's why, exactly as you said, when I was with NABBA, I went to Brazil, I went to Malta, I went to Germany, went to Italy. Every year we competed in different countries. So it was amazing experience. So, but in terms of leveling up as a IFBB pro, as soon as Tony started bringing that IFBB, all the Arnold stuff to Australia, then that was a no-brainer, really.
Has it really exploded since the Arnold Australia hit Australia?
Oh, 100%. That's the only thing that people are talking about now. It's the only show that people look forward to. And I think, especially when I got my pro card, to be able to be on stage with Arnold, get the pictures with him, it's such a life-changing thing. Like, I'll have those pictures for the rest of my life. It's amazing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I used to be friends with an Australian bodybuilder called Nick Jones. He did the NABBA early 2002. He did 2001. And then Australian bodybuilding, kind of, you had Tony Doherty doing the Australian, the pro show he was doing. And then it was kind of, in the last few years, there's been a bit of a resurgence with Josh Lenartowicz, now yourself. I'm trying to think of some other, throw me some other names. Can you throw me some other names? Who else is?
Hadi's 212 Pro.
So, Sam
Pearce.
Sam Pearce, yeah.
Yeah. So there's definitely a pretty deep pool of Australian athletes now. There's a lot of talent coming up the ranks, and they're all gunning for pro cards. So I think the next couple of years, even next year, I think the battle for the pro cards is going to be pretty exciting from the Australian guys.
Yeah. So you're in Melbourne, and Tony's in Sydney?
No, he's here too.
Oh, he's in okay.
Yeah, so his gym, Doherty's gym, is probably only 20 minutes down the road from where I am right now.
Oh, okay. So you're quite close to Tony.
Yeah, very close. Yeah.
Has he been a big support with your career generally?
Well, even when I was younger, when I was, say, 18 years old, I think I did my first photo shoot with Gary Phillips when I was 18 years old at Tony's gym.
Yeah. And
I remember even back then, Tony was already saying to me, like, the IFBB is the way to go, and he was already trying to. He was not, I wouldn't say groom me, but he was letting me know what my best options were moving forward if I wanted to be a top professional bodybuilder.
Yeah.
But I think my end game was always IFBB and always to connect with Tony. But at that point in time, as I said, it just the travel aspect of being with the NABBA Federation back then.
Yeah.
It's not as if I was going backwards. I was still competing. I was still growing each year. But when I did eventually make the switch to IFBB, it was kind of like I wasn't too far out of my depth.
Yeah. So how have you been managing to train? Have you been training okay during all the pandemic?
So I'm lucky enough. I've got my own gym.
Okay.
I built a gym. So the business, this is our family business here. So me, dad, and mum here.
Oh, okay.
We've got 25 staff, and we do all sheet metal products. We've got a metal company.
Yes.
Yeah. So then the front half of the factory, it used to be offices, and we moved some things around. So I pulled down all the walls and turned it into a gym back in 2010.
Oh, fantastic.
So I've got a lot of old equipment in there, but all the old good stuff.
Yeah. If it's been around a while, then it's good stuff. It's kind of gym I training. I like the old functional equipment. Doesn't look pretty, but it works really well. Good planes of movement.
It works well. The stacks are heavy. I've just got all the basic stuff up there, but it's probably a good it's like 90 square meters or something. So it's like it's a decent size. It's a big gym.
Yeah.
And I just train there myself. I used to have it open as a business. I used to personally train guys up there as well. But now with workload and everything that's happening, I've been lucky enough to be able to, since 2010, just use that as my personal gym. So I've trained. Yeah.
Oh, that's so lucky, isn't it? Especially with what?
Yeah.
I mean, so you've literally been unaffected by this completely.
100%.
Yeah. That's good to hear. Good to hear.
By myself all these years anyway. So I just love being able to train by myself. I think that's kind of the whole thing with bodybuilding is, for me, that's my time. I like to be in the gym. I like to, that's my time to just kind of regroup. Doesn't matter what kind of day I've had. I just like to train, whether it's in the morning or after work. And I do it by myself. Never had a training partner.
Okay. Never had a training partner?
The early years, yes.
Yeah.
But since 2010, I've done everything, all my training in the gym by myself.
Oh, wow. Okay. So how do you manage with like the big compound lifts? Do you just, if you fail, you fail? How does that work? I mean,
yeah, look, I think that it's just kind of takes a little bit more of, I don't know, like the mindset going into it. Obviously, I get my probably 1 or 2 reps at the end, but I train to failure.
Right.
Wow. And I've found that that's enough. I think that it's a smarter approach, as I have had training partners before, and always having the pushing each other back and forth and getting reps that you don't really have, and them forcing you to do things with a spotter. I actually prefer to know that I've got the reps myself.
Yeah.
And I haven't had problems getting stronger over the years doing that, and I'm not scared to you know, to drop it if I had to, but I never have. I think that I always stop, you know, at that last rep. I just make it. So.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. So would you say you're a strong bodybuilder?
Well, I can be, but the thing is, I think I've worked out that I just can't be strong all the time. Like, I can incline press 4 plates either side. So, you know, I can do that. I've squatted heavy.
Without a spotter?
Without a spotter, yeah, it's on my Instagram. Yeah, I think I did it for like 8 reps in the last rep.
Oh my God. Okay.
With no spotter. That's on my Instagram. So the strength is there, but I found that you can't do too much of anything. You know, I think you just have to what works, because obviously the joints, everything takes its toll. So
I started getting doubts about having a training partner when I think I was about 20 years old, and I had 3 plates aside on the squat, and the guy who spotted me, he'd never spotted me before. I said, "Can you spot me in the last couple of reps?" He decided I was leaning forward too much because I'm quite tall. I'm 6 foot.
So he pulled you back
to get right down into the hole and then come out of it. I had to lean forward a little bit because maybe my flexibility it's never been great. So he actually like tipped me backwards like that. So I was like, whoa! No. So I stepped back and I managed to just whack it into the rack like you know, awkward. Yeah, and I think that was the same guy that spotted me on dumbbell inclines on 110s, and he decided, because obviously you want to touch on your elbows, and he decided to grab my wrists. So he grabbed my wrists and the dumbbell started coming towards my face. So
wow!
So I'm really kind of I'm starting to see that like it is possible actually to train hard and train properly without. But that's 4 plates incline. That's something, mate. With that's quite brave to do that. What if you have an off day? You know?
Yeah, but I think that like it's not that I do that all the time. As I said, for me, I'll because I don't have a partner, then I might do. You know, even on a normal everyday, let's say 4 plates is on a really good day, but let's just say a normal day would be 3.5 plates for 12 reps.
Does the job?
Yes, but as soon as I kind of hit failure, and so instead of, because I haven't got a spotter there, then I'll just take a little bit of weight off and maybe just do one drop set or something like that.
Right. Okay.
So I'm still getting a little bit. I'm still going past muscle failure, but I don't know. I've never really been that keen on the idea of someone grabbing elbows and things. I just find that it puts me off.
Yeah. Gives you a kind of false confidence, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I have lifted heavier with other people there, but then when they're not there, I can't even budget. So just kind of you think, oh shit, how much was I actually doing? You know?
Yeah, you don't want them deadlifting your incline, do you? You know, so.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Going back to the business, I mean, obviously I've seen on your Instagram, you make gym equipment. Is that just in Australia or do you export? And what's the name of the company?
So our company is called John the Sheet Metal. It's been for 37 years. My father, when he first started it, and it's never been anything gym equipment. That was only something that came from the coronavirus, actually. So we do, because we normally do. It's just all roofing type material. So we do gutters. We do roofing products, all rainwater goods. So we've got guys in the factory welding, folding, you know, bending and stuff, all different types of metals. So that's what the business is solely always been. But once the coronavirus started, I was getting messages from heaps of people just saying that they can't get gym equipment in Australia.
Is that, you mean for the home? For the home?
Yeah, for their homes. Yeah.
so you'll be making gym equipment.
So I just started. Yes, I've never done it. I've never done it before. But we started making it because between me and my dad, we can just, you know, Dad's really good with steel and creating things. He's got patents on some of the machines in the factory. He's been able to, him and his mate who's an engineer, they've designed and invented things. So Dad's really good with things like that.
That's great. That's fantastic.
So once I started mucking around with benches, we got the first one. Before the first one was even built, we sold 20 of them before I even had one built.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, fantastic.
This was the beauty of Instagram. Like for a first, having Instagram actually worked in my favor because.
So hang on a minute. So if you're in Australia and you can't get to the gym, you can message Jake on his Instagram, and you'll get an IFBB pro bodybuilder personally making you a gym equipment. I mean that's a really good sales pitch, that, mate. Very big USP, that.
So we've only been doing it for 4 weeks, and we're only about 10 benches away from 100 benches in 4 weeks. So
fantastic.
It's been really, really cool. So I think by the end of next week, we're going to start doing like a power cage, a squat rack.
Yeah.
And then I think that'll be it, because we've got enough stuff going on with our normal day-to-day stuff at work. I was expecting the gym equipment to do what it did, but within the next couple of weeks, it's going to slow down anyway, because the gyms are all opening back up again slowly.
Yeah.
But I still think there is a lot of people, there's still a market for it, because there's a lot of people that are still a bit hesitant to go straight back.
Yeah. Because it's a transitional thing, isn't it, really, with, you know, because I've heard that, like, the people training in gyms in masks, and, like, I'd probably rather not train than train in a mask, to be honest. I would rather, because I've just been doing cardio. I haven't trained for a couple of months, but I've been training like for decades. Do you know what I mean? So a couple of months off, it's not a huge deal for me. But for some people, I'd rather just buy some equipment, just train at home, you know?
Yeah, well, look, most of the people that have come here and bought a bench, they've already spent, like, you know, between $5,000 and $10,000 on their home gyms. So a lot of them aren't back to gyms.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting to see what comes from all of this.
Yeah. Do you not think a little spin-off business with this bench thing? And do you not see that could maybe grow to something significant as well as your other business?
Oh, well, look, if it did, like, a company's called John Sheet Metal, as I said, on my Instagram, I've been promoting all of the benches and stuff as well, but we're just kind of taking as it comes. Like I said, it's not as if this part, like, I pretty much did this, you know, for fun and to help people, and I've learned a shitload, you know, just doing it. So many things went wrong at the start, and it looks so simple, like an adjustable bench. Like, when you look at the finished product, you think that it would be so simple, but there's so many little moving parts and holes. Everything has to line up, and there was a lot of engineering and a lot of work went into it. Like, we've got things getting laser cut, like all sorts of stuff.
Do you know what though? This is how sometimes these new businesses that go big, or they become popular, this is how they start. They start from just there's something happens, like the pandemic, and there's a need for this gym equipment. You think, I'll start. Like, I remember going to I went to the Panatta factory. You know, Panatta equipment. I went with.
Is that Italy?
In Italy, in the hills of Italy. Yeah, I went up there with John Citrone, and I met Rudy Panatta, and kind of the whole village, because it's up in the hills. And it's where he's always lived. The whole village works for him, and then he took us to this shed. It was like a shed. It was like the size of my shed, and he said, "This is where it started." He said, "I was making I was making adjustable benches." He said, "I was making squat racks," and then literally, like, it's just like it's grown into this, like, literally like the whole town. The town has grown exponentially as his business has done so, and every single one works for him. You know, that's how it started, and that's one of the biggest brands in the world. You know.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Because even everything that I've done, like, originally I was hand painting each bench and things like that, but now everything gets professionally painted and all the bits laser cut and things like that. But in the beginning, I was doing every single little bit by hand. Yeah. But we've slowly. But as you said, though, all of the work that I've outsourced has all been local. So it's been supporting local businesses. Good. And I think that's what a lot of people that are buying the benches, especially after all of this pandemic and everything like that, people want to support Australian made and keep everything kind of in Australia, which is really cool, because it does cost a lot of money to use, you know, local parts and local labor for us. But it's just nice that the mindset with everyone at the moment, they really want to keep everything in Australia and keep it Australian made, especially after obviously everything that's happened with this crisis. So it's been awesome for us.
Yeah. So going back to Tony Doherty, do you ever train at his gym if it's only 20 minutes away, or do you always just train at your own?
Yeah, no, I train there when I can, but the only thing is it's only because of work. Like our guys have long shifts too. They start at 5 o'clock in the morning. They don't finish until like 3:30, like 4 o'clock at night in the afternoon. So we've got big shifts here. So it's very hard, like, because I said I've got my setup here, and I only live about 15 minutes from the gym too, so I can just drive straight here, train, and then just get straight into work. Yeah. So if I was to drive out to Tony's, then train, then come back, it'd just be really hard for me to be at work. Yeah. Because even sometimes before I train, something might happen in the factory and the guys need me, so then I've got to, you know, change things around. Like, every day there's something new when you're looking after a factory full of guys. It's never a dull. Of course. That's for sure.
Of course. Yeah. Going back to, it seems that all the Australian bodybuilders seem to be very, very, very connected and supportive of each other. I've never picked up on any kind of negativity or sort of negative competitive spirit between people. It seems to be like you, Tony, Josh, you all seem to be like almost like part of this kind of like family, you know? Is that the case?
Yeah, I think we all get along. I think we all support each other. We all get along. But I think the longer that I've been doing this now, you just respect anybody that's kind of that can compete and get on stage, just because you know what it takes to get into condition and get on stage. So I think there's always a mutual respect amongst all bodybuilders. But I think Tony's done a really good job of really lifting the Australian community, and he puts his heart and soul into it.
He does.
And even what he did with that last show where I was able to guest post, like it was called off, but he still
leading on to that one.
Yeah, so without Tony, I think the Australian bodybuilding scene would kind of be dead in the water. But I think all the Australian bodybuilders love Tony and everything that he's doing, because he really does just go above and beyond for us. So it's nice to have a face and a voice to represent us in the way that he does. Like, he really does fight for us to get the best.
Now, we had Tony on a few weeks ago, and he told us the story of how he managed to get at least majority of your physique seen on stage in the you weren't like 100%, you were kind of like 90% bang on. He told us the story of how tell us the story of how you managed to salvage at least your prep so you could at least have your physique shown on stage. Tell us about that.
Well, it's funny because leading into that, Tony let me know a few days prior that he was thinking of me doing it. He said, "What would you think of the guest pose?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'd be wrapped if I can get on a stage." I said, "That'd be cool."
Yeah.
And he
20
said,
weeks dieting,
Yeah, exactly. And he said, "I'll be in contact with you tomorrow." He said, and we'll put up posts and we'll promote it and all this stuff. Anyway, I didn't hear from Tony because he had so much on his plate. Obviously, he was under a whole lot of stress with everything that was unraveling from all the coronavirus.
Yeah.
But every time that I kind of saw Tony's posts and things, it was leading me on to believe that nothing was going to go ahead, because that whole week there leading up to that guest pose, that show, everything just looked like it was going to be cancelled on Tony.
Yeah.
So, because we kept on seeing the news and we were watching what was going on our TVs, and everything was saying that the social distancing stuff was starting, and it pretty much just looked like the whole show was going to be called off.
Yeah.
So I think it was the Saturday night. The guest pose was on a Sunday. It was the Saturday night. So I started I started eating in the morning on Saturday.
No. What were you eating? What were you eating? Come on, tell us.
Honestly, it was kind of whatever was within reaching distance, but it ended up being like a few burgers in the day, chips and sauces, and I was so bloated and just watery, but I was just. I thought that it was definitely going to be called off. That was like the reason why I was doing it. I thought, it's not going to go ahead. And then it was Sunday morning when I woke up, because we had my partner's family, because we gave birth as well to our baby.
Oh, wow.
That was only like a week after that. Of
course, yes, we've seen the photographs, yeah.
Yeah, so my prep and everything leading up, we just bought a new house. We moved into a newly built house. The baby was on the way. So the whole prep, there was so much going on.
Yeah.
But I think it was the morning of the show. Saturday night, I said to Tony, "Look, my partner's family's down because they come from about 4-hour drive, so they were down." I said, "Look, I think I'm just going to spend time with the family because I haven't seen them much, and I'm not going to be able to do the guest pose." Mm-hmm. And Tony was just like, "Yeah, okay, mate." He said, "It would have been nice to have you, but it is what it is. Family comes first, kind of thing." And then I just remember that I got off the phone, and even my wife's family, everyone was just looking at me, and they could just tell that I wasn't happy.
Yeah. Your foot's tapping. You're like, "No, I'll give me a chicken breast, not a burger."
And it was kind of them. Yeah, and I seriously did. I'm like, shit, I better clean up my food for the rest of the night. And they all kind of looked at me, and they were like, "Can you please? We're sick of looking at you on the couch looking like a lost puppy.
Go on, bugger off and get on stage. Show what you've done." Yeah.
So literally Sunday morning, I woke up. I ate just a plain bodybuilding type breakfast.
Yeah.
And I sent Tony a message. I think at like 10 o'clock in the morning. I said, "Hey, would it be okay if I still came and guest posed?" And he said, "If you can be here in 45 minutes," he said, "you can just jump straight on stage."
Wow.
Yeah, so I literally just drove there, took my gear off, got tanned, and just went straight on stage as I was.
Of course, because you had some tanners there. It wasn't like a dream tan situation where you were just...
No. So he had the pro tan, the professional pro tan.
That's good. Because imagine you're running on stage in your boxes and no tan. I mean, it's like... I could just think like 45 minutes. Like, get in 45 minutes, I'll be thinking, shit, how am I going to do this?
But it was one of those moments, though, where I was just so happy that I was able to just do something. Like once I got off stage, I said to Tony, I said, thank you so much. I said, because it made me feel a little bit more that, you know, something came of the prep. It wasn't a waste.
Yeah.
So, and I think Tony was.
You look good, mate. Considering you've been pigging out, mate. I mean, the condition was. You could tell you'd have obviously come off your diet a little bit, but you know, the fact that it was water, it wasn't fat. It was kind of you look really, really good. Really good. Have you actually got that footage that you can send us that we can edit in?
Not yet. I haven't got it yet. I'm waiting for. I think Gary Phillips shot that as well.
I'll message him. I know Gary.
Yeah. So
he's a fellow Brit.
Yeah, exactly. No, Gary. I told Gary that I was going to come on your show because he's doing a It's going to be released soon. He did a documentary on me
really?
over the last year. Yeah. So he started filming that when I won my pro card.
Oh, fantastic! That's really good. He's doing that. The Chris Cormier one was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he's kind of made it like that. So he's interviewed Tony, he's interviewed judges, interviewed my family, friends, Lee Priest, because Lee Priest coached me for a while. We've been friends for a long time.
Cool.
So yeah, he's interviewed a lot of people. So that's going to be coming out in probably the next month or so, which would be really cool.
Good. No, that'll be interesting because it's nice to hear those journeys of, especially because you don't know where your career is going. If you're 33 now, yeah.
Yeah.
You're 33. That's kind of the perfect age to be kind of in the position you are in now, you know. And I think your physique is very good. You're not missing anything. I spotted like I said, I was looking at all the progress pictures and I was thinking, shit, this guy's good. You know, I was really, really, really excited to see your pro debut and see how you were going to compare up against the other guys. You know, it was. I just, you know what it is? I just hope now with Tony, because obviously this has been immensely stressful for him, and I know he's a very, very driven, very positive guy, and he'll kind of take positive situations from negative situations. He's kind of a winner in life, you know. So I just hope that next year, you know, he gets double the support for what he's done with the crushing disappointment, having to cancel it and all the, you know, because he'll be feeling guilty, he'll be feeling bad, even though it wasn't his. You know, I know how these things feel. You know, I think he'll be. I just hope he really, really has that support for next year, and I hope it's a huge success for him.
I think he will. As I said, I think what Tony has done as a promoter and what he's done for Australian bodybuilding, he would have everyone's got his back 100%. So I don't think it matters. Whatever he does next year, everyone's going to support him. So I think it's I think he's going to bounce back. I think it's going to be great. But it is a shame that it happened the way that it did. But as I said, I think everything happens for a reason. And like you said before, if you have that mindset as Tony does, you know, nothing's a negative. You just turn it into a positive. And I think we're all going to rise above. It's going to be awesome year competing for everybody, I think, next year. And hopefully I'll be able to a pro debut. So
yes. So that was my next question. So have you given thought to your actual pro debut, obviously, which you wanted to make this year? Have you thought about which your first show will be as a pro?
Look, I really got my heart set on again doing Tony's show.
Okay. Why though?
Yeah.
Why?
It's more because of just the family and friends. I just want everyone to kind of be there because a lot of my family and friends have supported my bodybuilding over all of the years, and I would love them to be able to see me hit the pro stage, and especially the way that Tony does it. He gets a lot of the top Americans over, a lot of the top pros from over. So I just think it would be awesome for me to make my pro debut, you know, at that show. And you know, it hasn't been too bad anyway because we had the baby as well. That's obviously taken a lot of my time too. Like I'm still training, doing everything, but it's still something that it's getting used to, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not as if I just go to the gym now whenever I feel like it or make a meal whenever I feel like it. Like everything now works around the family and the baby.
So do you and Josh Lenartowicz swap baby tips?
It's funny, actually. My wife was only just with Josh's wife.
What do I do with this thing? What do I do with it?
It is. It does. It's. I must admit, it really is. It's a lot to. I think a lot of people think that. I don't know whether think that it's easy, but
I don't think anyone thinks that, mate. No one thinks that.
I take my hat off to all women around the world that have kids because it is. It's a job in itself. It's crazy. But we're loving it at the moment. She's only 8. She's only like 10 weeks old now. So yeah, it's all happening. But
are you loving it?
I think that no, it's beautiful. I think you've got to be in the place in your life where you're ready for it, and both of us are definitely ready for it. And she's a great mum, so no, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So going back to your pro debut, you'd rather wait till next year than, say, do the New York Pro in America, but you want your friends and your family there, so you're willing to wait. I mean, the thing is, you got, it's not like you're 43 and you've got, like, you know, only a couple of years to make an impact. It's like you've got plenty of time. And
that kind of went on my my thought process as well. It was like, well, I'm only going to get a little bit better, because looking at my physique, I was kind of put myself under the microscope on what I want my physique to be. Now I'm trying to get better, but at the same time, I'm not trying to get so much bigger in such a short amount of time that I kind of ruin my physique, because I have. Yeah, and I've seen a lot of guys turn pro, and all of a sudden they turn pro, and then it's just this battle, this chase of size, you know, size. As soon as the stomach gets bigger, and as soon as the proportions, I don't know. To me, it just looks all kinds of bad. So I'm trying my best to just bring up lagging areas. Obviously, a little bit overall size would be nice as well, but I'm just trying to do it all in and not blow out the midsection, because it's just horrible. I don't know.
I was going to say,
a lot of guys doing that.
Yeah, I was going to say at the start of the interview, I was saying that your physique, even though you're kind of like a super heavyweight, it's kind of like that. The Americans on the forums and stuff would call it that European conditioning. So when you said you got like Greek and Italian, it's like you have got like that European, like the detail, and you got the kind of detail you'd see on like the amateur light heavies or middleweights, where everything's, you know, the striations and the detail. And so you're right, if you don't want to lose that, because that is your calling card, and that's what could potentially beat guys who are maybe bigger and fuller, who don't have the kind of detail that you have.
And I think it does take a little bit of brains as well to work into your training program, because when I was just deadlifting and squatting heavy, which I haven't done for years, I normally barbell squat last at the end of my workout, and even deadlift at the end of my workout.
Tricky, that.
Yeah, because I definitely found that, I know there's a big debate about it, but squatting heavy, deadlifting heavy, if you don't have a long torso, then you are going to put yourself at risk of getting wider obliques. And as soon as your obliques start getting wider, it's like you need to put like 3 inches on your shoulder to try to compensate for that.
That's good. That's good.
I'd rather just try to put a little bit on my shoulders, but keep the waist, you know, smaller. So you know, I think everyone has their strengths, obviously, and what's the best game to play, whether it's size, whether it's condition. But trying to, you know, I think that I've been able to get the condition now, but I don't want to get so big so quick. I think that is something that some people do. They just put on, you know, like 10 kilos in that year once they turn pro, doing whatever they're doing. But, you know, I think the physique...
We know. We know what they're doing.
I'm trying to just keep doing what I'm doing slowly, progressively, getting a little bit better each year without kind of ruining my physique.
So going back to the Arnold Australia, and obviously the Australian Pro, with you being only 20 minutes from Tony Doherty's gym, obviously Tony brings a lot of the pros over every single year. Have you ever trained with them, interacted with them? Are you friends with any of them?
Because I always had big sponsors. I was sponsored by BSN for a few years. So I was sponsored.
Fantastic.
I was sponsored by. So me and Flex has been at my gym here. He signed the wall. So we've trained here. Flex Lewis. And because I was coached by Neil Hill for 3 years as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I was coached by Neil for 3 years. So
sorry, we literally, who did I just have a message from about 5 minutes before we started filming? Flex Lewis. I didn't tell him. I didn't know. So I literally like minutes before we started filming this, Flex messaged me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. So we trained a couple of times together, and then he came to the gym here, and we had a workout in the gym. It was all filmed under BSN, but no, Flex is awesome. We've been able to hang out a few times. Every time he's down, we go get food or whatever. But yeah, we've been able to have a workout in the gym. So I was trained by Neil for a few years there, and then
YT3, Y3T.
I was doing all these Y3T trainings. I just found that with coaches, though, like at the moment, it's just me and my best friend, Aaron, because I just like to have that closeness of being able to actually see in the flesh, you know. And I think that works really well. But like I've tried Charles Glass. I was speaking with Charles Glass back when I was with Optimum Nutrition, because he was with Optimum.
Okay.
Got some tips and things from him. Then I was with Lee Priest for a couple of years, and he helped me win my pro card with NABA.
Brilliant.
And then Neil, And then now I thought that it was better just to keep it close. So now I just got my best mate helping me.
Yeah.
He's got a really good eye for it, which is good. And, you know, he can just tell me where I'm at with my diet. So that's kind of all I find that I need at the moment. I'm always training properly. I'm always training hard. I just need someone to kind of be that second pair of eyes just to let me know kind of where I'm at. And my mate Aaron's got a really good eye for knowing where my physique's at. So, and you know what? I think it's good not to overcomplicate and have too many people in your camp pulling you directions all the time, you know?
You don't want people, too many cooks spoil the broth, is it? I don't know, there's some phrase. Yeah, too many. You don't want 20. Like, I think that's where some, I won't mention names, but you've had some athletes in recent years that have kind of slipped up because they've been taking the opinions of 20 different people. You know.
Well, once I turned pro, I had a couple of messages from, I won't tell you who, but some well-known coaches that are like, hey, now that you've turned pro, it's like, you know, you need to put another 20 pounds of muscle on. I can tell you how to do that.
Yeah.
This is the protocols to do that. And I'm just like, man, there's no hope in hell that I would do that, you know. But again, like I said to you, it's like some guys fall into that trap once they turn pro.
Were they? Sorry to interrupt. Were they scary protocols?
Yeah, very.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
What more in dosages or the compounds?
No, it was more the compounds.
Okay.
Yeah, it was more the compounds and everything. It was across the board. Yeah, it was just scary across the board. So that's not how I've ever kind of viewed bodybuilding. Like, I still enjoy feeling good in the gym. I still enjoy feeling healthy. And I just think that kind of gets to the point where it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
plus another thing is I've spoken to Australian bodybuilders, friends, whatever. A lot of those, like, if you've got that list of compounds, probably 80% of them you can't even get in Australia.
Exactly.
Seriously, because I won't go into detail about how this was like about 10, 15 years ago. And he was saying, I'm well connected and I can only get access to this and this and this, and that is it. He said it's pretty much like you're screwed, really.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, it's all bullshit. Yeah, you'd be using 8 same things. Yeah.
What was it? The big bladders, the veterinary bladders or something, like 300 mil or something. And it's like, you know.
They probably tell you they're giving you 15 different things, but you're literally probably taking 15 of the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So one thing I always advise people who have just turned pro, or, you know, making, like I said, people like yourself making your pro debut very, very soon. Will you get yourself out to the Olympia to go and watch this year, to get yourself fired up and maybe make a few contacts?
I hope so. Look, I've made a lot of contacts over the years just because when I was with BSN, I was obviously with Flex, and you know, so I've been able to be in contact with a lot of people. Ed Connors, I was in contact with Ed Connors years and years. I think Ed Connors got in contact with me, probably like 10 years ago now, I think.
He's always had a good eye for the last 30 years. He's got a good eye for spotting the kind of the talent. The guys, you look at them like as amateurs and think, I'm going to keep an eye on this guy. You know, he's got, you know, and then they get to know you and they get to know your mindset, and then they can figure out really where you're kind of headed.
Yeah, well, I think the only thing with Ed was that I said to him, like, because where I am here, I'm happy here because I've got the family business, I've got my training there,
perfect.
And I like that setup. I like this setup. I don't have to have too many not negative, but I suppose that some guys that I know that have been to Venice and they've done the whole with all the gurus and the other. Yeah, it's kind of really left a bad taste in their mouth.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is to do with. I mean, this is why Dorian Yates, you know, staying in the UK and his situation worked great. It's to do with distraction. If you're somewhere where everyone's pulling you in all directions, or you've got like people like Josh is the same. He's very much like he's almost like just like a normal guy that is a bodybuilder. It's in a kind of normal family routine. He's got his kid, and they got all the different things, little projects going on, and they've got quite quiet lives, and they're probably the only bodybuilder in their area, and it works for them. It works for them, and I think that's the one that it's that kind of environment that seems to work best for athletes. Especially you've got people like yourself on the way up. You know,
I think the longevity bodybuilding as well, because you're not out partying and you haven't got people telling you to do dumb things.
Or people blowing smoke up your ass saying, you know, or promising you the world as, you know, if you go with them and we're prepped by them and all that bullshit, you know, it's like, ugh.
I was told ages ago, you know, you've got to, now that you're a pro, you've got to train a few times a day and you've got to, you know, you've got to just eat, sleep, bodybuilding and stuff. But honestly, I don't train more than 3 days straight. Like then I'll take a rest day.
Yeah.
But my training routine is very much like a Dorian type routine where once I've done a couple of warm-up sets and I'm straight into the heavy sets and then I'm done. So my workouts will be done in 45 minutes.
Wow.
You know,
so just one working set?
So I'll do 2 working sets though.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So I'll do 2 working sets.
Like the early Dorian Yates style training.
Yeah, so it's just, yeah, exactly. And I find that works best for my body because when I was with Lee Priest, he had me doing tons of volume.
He's a big volume trainer, isn't he? He's a big volume trainer. I mean, he's like minimum 20 sets, isn't he? Minimum.
Yeah, well, we'd train arms on the same day. We'd do 40 sets for arms, 20 on biceps, 20 on triceps.
I've seen him do it.
Yeah, we always used to do it. And I think that, as you know, over the years, you try everything. But I find my body responds best to kind of get in, tear down the muscle and get out and recover.
Yeah.
I find that works really well for my physique. I can actually stay big and full like that. Whereas when I was doing Lee's type training, I can see why he needed to eat so much food and probably rest a lot more because it is, you know, it's like cardio.
I think he's someone that just loves to train, though. He loves to train for hours.
Yeah.
I mean, when I did a tour with him in 2006 in the UK, and he didn't want to miss a session. And I'd be like, after about an hour, I'd be like, Lee, you can be much longer, mate. And he's like, I'm just getting started, mate. I'm just getting started. Yeah. He goes, you could just one of those guys that just, you know, just loves to get in the gym and stay in there for as long as he can.
And when I first started, so my kind of mentor in the beginning was Sammy Ioniti.
Yeah,
so he was
I remember him.
Yeah, you remember him? So
yeah, of course I do. Yeah.
So we started training together, and he kind of groomed me in the beginning. So I think I started with him in maybe like 2008. And we would he accepted me into his gym. He's like, don't pay membership. He goes, just train with me come with me every day.
Yeah.
So I trained with him every day, and that was when I kind of learned about volume because he used to train with Tom Platz and Reg Park, and he had that old background of training history because he was around all of those greats.
Yeah.
He did giant sets, and I was young, but he used to make me throw up like every workout because he would do like the Milos type training. He would literally.
I was just about to say Milos. I was just about to say that sounds like Milos training.
He just went from one to the next to the next to the next, but his condition and his muscularity was phenomenal. His body loved that.
It works for some people, doesn't it?
Yeah, it didn't work for me. Like I said, for me, I need a lower volume and heavier weights. I think works really well for me. And just make sure that I'm getting the proper rest and recovery in because I think that's the most overlooked thing. Like people think that you can't overtrain. You can definitely overtrain.
Okay. Do you just? I mean, your face looks quite slim. Do you stay in good nick all year round?
Well, I'm probably about 119 kilograms now, so I'm about 10 kilos over my contest weight.
That's nothing.
So
nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But once I get towards 120 kilos, for me, I start to get sluggish. Like I start to feel, So
the thing is, you're quite an active person, and you've got a lot of stuff going on. So you don't want to be like lumbering around at 130 kilo out of breath, not being able to walk upstairs. You know, when you're lumbering, you're doing physical manual work. You know, that's also another thing is Australia's a very hot country. And
in the summer, but in the winter, like now, the mornings for us are like 2 degrees. So
really, in Melbourne,
I
didn't know that.
Yeah. Melbourne's cold.
Really I didn't know that. I thought all of Australia was just 100 degrees all the time. Oh yeah.
No. Winter months. The winter months are cold. The most days would lucky to be in winter over maybe 16 degrees Celsius.
Oh wow. Okay. Sounds like British weather.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's only really like November through to February where it can get up to 40, 42, 43 degrees.
42.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I think we had 33. Was it a couple of weeks ago? And then it drops to like 5 degrees the next day. So really inconsistent, you know.
I think your inconsistency with the weather is very much like us in Melbourne, though. It's all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think the reason I like Australia and I really want to go is because of all the wildlife, things like all the lizards and all the reptiles. Because I've got frogs, lizards, snakes, all sorts. Basically, my living room is like the Australian outback.
Oh, so you're a weirdo like Dave Palumbo then?
Yeah, he likes snakes, doesn't he? He loves snakes.
I think he's got a garage full of all those kind of things. Yeah, I saw on one of those. So,
yeah.
So you've never been to Australia?
I've never been. It's one place, that and Thailand and Eastern Asia. I really want to visit. So I've actually got a Malaysian brother or sister which I need to track down actually.
Well, you should be representing MD and coming to my pro debut next year, I reckon.
That was not pre-planned. That was not pre-planned. That is organic. That happened realistically.
We have to speak to the powers that be and let them know that Giles is coming down for my pro debut.
I'll just PayPal the money over there. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
You can train at Tony's gym. You can train at my gym.
Wow. Well, I need to start back training first because, like I said to Dennis James the other week, I said, this is a slim fit suit. And I said, and it's baggy. I need to get training. I need to be like you and have a bloody home gym and be able to train and not just have a lame ass treadmill, to exercise on. So anyway, let's go back to the Olympia. What do you think is going to happen this year?
Oh, wow.
Because I think you're a guy that keeps his finger on the pulse.
Yeah, look, I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen. I think I'm going to be really excited to see Flex.
Okay.
Has it actually been confirmed? Is he committed to it?
Oh, he's got a special invite and he's doing it, and he's looking colossal.
Yeah, see, I can't wait to see him now with no restrictions, just to see what he does, because he always had to suck down so hard to make weight.
Yeah. What do you think he'll be on stage at? Because I think he'll be about 225, 226. Do you think he could come in bigger than that?
Well, that's going to be interesting to see how they push it, because I think obviously Flex is so well known for his conditioning.
Yeah.
And I don't think his condition's going to suffer, but it's going to be interesting to see with the more food. Hopefully, midsection or nothing like that suffers, because he's never had an issue with that in the past.
Never.
So, but as you said, though, I think it'll be somewhere around about that weight is going to be enormous for him. Because in person, when you see Flex in person,
his forearms.
It's just next level between his forearms and his calves.
Yeah. Thing is, if you see him, if he's in like a t-shirt and shorts, like
he's normally in shorts, even if it's like 3 degrees.
Yeah, he's showing off his calves. That's what he's doing. Yeah, that's why I always keep baggies on when I'm on the beach.
Yeah, but he is probably one of the few. You know how some bodybuilders, when you see him in person, they literally do just look like cartoon characters.
Yeah.
He does. He has those proportions where he just looks so freaky. But I think he's going to be super exciting to see, because it would be great to see him next to Hadi, to see because I don't know if
the rematch.
Yeah, but it would be interesting, because I think Hadi's obviously got some of those massive body parts, but I think Flex just flows too nicely. So I think. So
sorry to interrupt. So you got Hadi at looking like he did at Vancouver at 218, 216. You got Flex at 226 or probably around 225, 226. Who wins?
Definitely Flex, just because of the flow of his structure.
Okay.
I just love. If you look at Flex from top to bottom, I just can't see any real flaws in his physique. Nothing stands out as if it's lagging. Whereas Hadi just has like the side delts are just like huge, like popping out. I think he's got some freaky body parts, but I think in a judging perspective, who's the most perfect body? It'd have to be Flex, 100%.
Yeah, but Hadi's only actually got 1 weak pose. That's his radial bicep. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, look, and he was freaky, grainy, hard, and everything as well. So,
be interesting.
I don't know. It's going to be super interesting to see. But I think Flex is just a little bit too. I don't know. His muscle bellies, I think he's just a little bit too perfect. Hadi is kind of like the shorter Marcus Rule to me. Like he's just like a freak.
with better detail.
With better details. So, but I don't know. I would put my money on Flex. If I was a betting man, I would put my money on Flex.
Okay, because the thing is, I mean, I've said this many times, and Flex has said this when he came on a few weeks ago. It's like the best version of Flex has never, ever been seen on a stage, because he normally weighs 225, 226, and he's ready to step on stage at 4 weeks out when he was 212.
Shots. So freaky.
But the thing is, he says, I never guest pose at 4 weeks out. He said, so the only person who's ever really seen me at my best, he said, is like Neil Hill, or the person who's taking the pictures at 4 weeks out, because that's never been on stage, because he was when he was on stage at 212, he was by the time you maybe carved up, whatever, maybe like 215. But that's still 10 pounds, a good 10 pounds less than, and 10 pounds of muscle on a 5'5" frame. That's a lot of size, you know? That's a lot of muscle.
Yeah, so I think we're in for a treat. I think Flex is going to bring something really special. It's going to be exciting just to see someone at his height with that much muscle. It's going to be awesome.
Can't wait.
But in terms of the rest of the Open guys, I'm not 100% sure. Is Roden coming back, or is that still up in the air?
He's training for the Olympia. That's all I can say. So whether he can compete or not, I've got a feeling he's going to do it. I've got a feeling he's going to be in the Olympia this year.
And what's your thoughts on Phil?
Phil's a good friend of mine. I speak to him very regularly, and I actually avoid asking him that question.
Yeah.
But he always maintains he's not retired. I would love him just to send me a text one day and say, Giles, can you just grab your producer and just I just want to come on the show for 20 minutes. I just want to release some news. And then just like literally hear a pin drop for when he says, okay, Giles, I want you to be the first to know. You're my good friend. And
if Phil can bring it in, I think that he's still leaps and bounds ahead of anyone.
Okay.
I think Phil at his best is still, the best the best in the world for sure.
So you think if Phil comes back and he's at his best, he'll take it?
100%. That was the only thing, obviously, that Sean Roden was able to play up on was, they're saying the whole distension thing on Phil. And that was really, I know Phil put up a couple of posts saying, his arms and this and that. And it was, it was literally, unfortunately, that day, the judges put that down to an abdominal contest.
You think so? You think so?
Look, I wasn't there. I wasn't in person. So I've never been the kind of person to comment on who should or shouldn't win when you're not there in person. Because as you know, watching something live is a different thing completely. But Phil's body parts compared to Sean's body parts, I don't know. I just think Phil was just a little bit off. He was just, and off for him is still, the thing is, even off for him is still probably one of the most detailed. So the thing is, if he was at his best, if he's at his best, I think he's still the best in the world.
Yeah. So what about Brandon with a full year off then? A fresh Brandon? Because Brandon wasn't at his best when he won the Olympia last year because he'd obviously done the Arnold, and it's difficult, as you know, to peak twice in a year. What do you think a confident, current title holder, Mr. Olympia, Brandon Curry, with a full year to really rest and kind of get himself G'd up for, what do you think he can do? Do you think he can repeat and get his second Sandow?
Well, I think that the interesting part about that is probably the mindset. Like, obviously, his confidence now being Mr. Olympia, it would be just next level. So his training, his nutrition, his mindset, I don't think anybody can really put an expectation of how good he's going to be, because I think if his mindset is like, I'm Mr. Olympia now, because how old is he, do you know?
He's 30. He's mid-30s, late 30s. He's not like he's like I've got 37 in my head for some reason. I might be wrong.
Well, there you go. Even if he's just in
got time.
So the fire in his belly now would just be ridiculous. So who knows? We might see a huge, massively improved Brandon, because he does his muscle bellies, his front double bicep, and even his back shots. I think his legs used to be, a bit lighter on than his upper, but fuck, he's so complete now, and he's so round.
He does have improvements he needs to make, but thing is, I think he could do it. I really do. Yeah. And do you know what I've noticed? He got a lot of criticism after he won the Olympia last year, saying, oh, well, so-and-so wasn't there, so-and-so. But you know what? I've noticed I said this to his wife, Brandy, last week. I messaged her and I said, have you noticed? I said, in the last couple of months, I said, there's a lot more people now thinking that Brandon can, like, they're giving him almost like the credit I feel that he deserves as Mr. Olympia. They're actually saying, well, of course he can win again. Like, whereas before they would have said, oh, he was a fluke year, it was a weak year, blah, blah, blah. But now I think there's a lot of people, out of a lot of kind of people with, good opinions that think he can win it again.
Maybe that's just because he's been on the scene for so long. People just think, oh, yeah, that's Brandon. Because I remember seeing Brandon in the Muscular Development magazines, long time ago when he was just coming up. maybe because everyone thinks that, oh, you know, it's Brandon. Everyone knows who Brandon is. But now what he's been able to do with his physique and now being Mr. Olympia, yeah, I think that he's a threat to anybody.
Plus, you can't underestimate the guys. Like 2016, he was last place in the Olympia. The following year, 2017, even though he got 8th, he was first call out. So that's a huge leap up. I mean, he could have been, I think people thought he was going to be maybe 5th, 6th that year. Comes back the year after, takes 5th place, comes back the year after and comes. So you can't underestimate those guys. You can't underestimate those guys that are literally, they're on an upward trajectory.
Well, yeah, exactly. And now that he's,
you can't underestimate them. You can't write them off.
And as you said before, now that he's got the Olympia title, that's just this boost. That's just this massive boost now. Yeah. So who knows where his trajectory, where he's going to end up.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at, because you could always counter.
I think Ronnie was always saying as well that he never had, you know, this aspirations to be a Mr. Olympia. But I think it wasn't until he actually won it that he was just kind of like, okay, now I'm just going to keep winning it. I was just listening to the podcast that he did with Joe Rogan the other day. He's an interesting guy, Ronnie. Like he comes across like he's such a simple kind of Texas country kind of guy.
He's not. But he's not at all.
So many layers to Ronnie.
I tell you what, read his book, and that is actually written by him. And you feel, and straight away it's like it's written in a really kind of honest, open. He just kind of comes out with it. I mean, I've spent a lot. Obviously, I do a different show with Ronnie, Nothing But a Podcast, and he's very. I used to work for Ronnie from 2014 to 2016. Spent a lot of time with him, and he's just one of these guys that you kind of underestimate him at your peril. You know, it'd be in conversation with him, and sometimes we sat there and you think, is he in the room here? And and what he's doing, he's observing, he's listening, and he's processing. And then he'll say something so profound, you think, wow, Ronnie's a very, very, very unique character. Very unique.
Definitely. So, and who else am I thinking? I'm thinking William Bonac as well. I love Bonac. Yeah. I love his physique.
Awesome, isn't he?
So I think Bonac's always a threat. Always. And I think I love the Dexter, I love the Bonac, I love the William Curry, because they're not these big, mass, bloated type physiques.
Yeah.
Not that there's, you know, I'm not saying that all the other guys are, but I think that it's more relatable for me. Like when I look at a Bonac's physique, I think that that's something that I would be able to replicate in years to come. Like that kind of look. I want to try to get that fullness.
That separation and detail. Yeah, I could see. Yeah. I could see that.
You know,
I can see
so
that.
I love to be able to look at physiques like him and like Dexter and see that they're doing well. And it's not just about being massively huge all the, you know, like I think, and that's good for me because that's not the game that I play. I'm not going to be, you know, on stage at, you know, 130, 135 kilos. That's never going to happen. You know, so it's nice to see those physiques and I think Bonac is on his good days, he's dangerous.
Very, very, yeah, absolutely. Okay, then, Jake. Well, I know it's extremely late for you there. What is it, like 1 a.m. or something now?
Oh, it is 10 to 12, Giles. So,
oh, wow. Okay.
I've left the baby. I've left the wife just for MD, just for today.
just for Giles. Just for Giles in the UK. Yeah, well, it took us a while to get you on because we had Skype issues and we had all sorts of probably I broke a cable accidentally, and I mean this.
You would trip in the middle of the night. You're tripping over wires trying to let your cat out.
I really tore it out because we were setting up and I was minutes from you coming on. I was like, right, it's gonna happen today. So
that's all right. Everyone will believe you. They all follow you on Instagram. We've seen your cats, so the story. Story checks out. It's okay.
He's looked into it. Yeah. All right then, Jake. Well, really appreciate you coming on. I'm glad we finally did this, mate. And really excited for you for next year. And I really hope I'm gonna say it now. I'm going to Australia next year, definitely. I'm gonna do it. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I to be honest, because of the flight time and everything, I might stop off in Thailand for a few days. So for the beaches.
Well, you've gone on record now, so I'm going to cut out just that section of the video, and I'm going to put it on my Instagram.
No, I think it's something I've been, because I like to do what I'm going to say and say what I'm going to do. Yeah, and Australia, I'd like to go. I'd like to make like a two-week holiday or something, and then come over and cover it, and because I think I really want to see what Tony has kind of produced there, and because he's really built something. Because I remember, you know, the early days with his Australian pro, and I love the way that the Australian bodybuilding scene has really kind of flourished, you know, from all the work and passion that he's, you know, and he's giving support for guys like yourself. And I want to see it. I want to be in the heart of that for a couple of weeks. And yeah,
good. You'll love it.
And I might catch a few lizards and bring them back home as pets.
Well, thank you very much for having me on the show, and thanks to everyone that's been following. Because I had a huge following of, you know, all around the world. The following increased so much for the pro debut, so that's been awesome. And thanks to you guys as well for helping out and sharing a few things and posting. So that was awesome. And hopefully everyone's going to follow for a pro debut for next year. Yes,
I'm really excited, Jake. Okay then, Jake. Well, I hope to see you at the Olympia, mate. It'd be nice to see you there.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I want to be there.
All right then, Jake. Okay, well, let you get home to your family very late. And thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed this one, mate.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you, Jake. And welcome back to MD Global Muscle here at the On the RiZe Media Studios with me, your host, Giles Thomas. And we are joined all the way from Kuwait with Hassan Mostafa and Rihan. Yay!
Hi. How are you?
How are you guys? How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm good. So, Rihan, you're going to help translate for Hassan because he says his English is not too good. When we've been messaging, was that you or Hassan that was messaging me?
مين بعت لك المسج? We sit together, he tells me what to write, and I write it for him. So it's me, but it's what he's saying.
Okay. Okay. Well, the thing is, I want to give opportunity to the guys that don't speak English, so I really appreciate you helping us with things like translation, because we don't want you to miss out on opportunities of things like publicity and promotion when you are so good, you know?
Yeah, that's great to hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, well, I'm trying to think. The first time I saw you, Hassan, it was I think the Indie Pro. I think that was 2019.
Indiana كانت no, that was just last year in April. Indie Pro. Indiana كانت في أي شهر؟ It was it was in March 2019.
Oh, yeah,
Same
March,
year as
Yeah. So obviously, with no pro shows this year, what were the plans for this year? What show were you going to do?
Sorry, which ones we were going to do?
Yeah, what was Hassan going to do?
We're gonna do St. Louis in April. That was the plan.
Okay. So I mean, yeah. So you've been managing to train. I think you said you're training at a home gym. You're still managing to hold decent size. Have you been okay with everything that's been going on?
ولسه عندك يعني العضلات
بنحاول نحافظ على قد ما نقدر. جبت عندي كذا حاجه بسيطه كده بتمرن فيها. بحاول احافظ على قد ما اقدر يعني.
He's trying to kind of contain his body shape and stay in shape so that he can be ready for upcoming shows. So he's trying to do his best with what he has, but yeah, he's training. He didn't stop.
Good. So have you got any plans for contests this year?
عندك أي خطة للبطولات السنة هذه؟
إن شاء الله احنا جاهز. لو ادينا فتحة هنلعب نيويورك وكاليفورنيا.
The plan is to do New York Pro and California Pro in September.
Fantastic.
So we'll see.
That's really good. Yeah. So
it all depends on if it opens up, right? So he's continuing as if it's going to happen, but we don't know.
Yeah. So how have you got any word on what's happening with flying? Do you think you'll be able to travel?
كيف الطيران ولد؟
لغايه دلوقتي الدنيا مسكره. احنا على امل ان الدنيا تفتح. احنا بنجهز وشغالين ان الدنيا تفتح، بس الدنيا لسه مسكره.
In Kuwait right now we're on pretty much a lockdown. So we're on a curfew. Airport is closed. So we're hoping by August it can open up.
Oh, you're on curfew, really?
Yeah, it was a full curfew. So it was a full curfew. We couldn't leave for about a month.
Oh wow!
The house. Yeah, and then it opened up 2 weeks ago. Yeah, you can't leave the house. Like, you get arrested if you leave. But you get 2 hours of a walking time from like 4 to 6. So you can walk, but you cannot use your car. You cannot leave your neighborhood, basically. Yeah, it's pretty strict out here.
Yeah, it's been. I imagine that's been quite stressful for you.
إنه كان ضغط عليك وكذا.
طبعا ما فيش حركة.
Yeah, of course, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, last year you did was it 5th place at Tampa Pro?
خامس في Tampa.
خامس في Tampa.
Yeah, I was 5th place.
Yeah. So what do you weigh on stage?
شو وزنك على الستيج؟
كنت في تامبا 109.
In Tampa he was 109.
So 109. What's 109 times 2.2, Colleen? So that's about 200. Yeah, God. Is that about 230 pounds or?
Is it 102? Is it 202?
Times 2.2.
Yeah, 240.
240. How tall?
Yeah. That's stage weight.
How tall?
Sorry?
How tall is Hassan?
قديش طولك؟
170.
170 centimeters.
Well, I don't know. What's 170 centimeters?
That's about 5'7", 5'6".
Perfect. Thank you so much. So let's talk about how you turned pro. Tell us about that.
كيف انت صرت برو؟ وين صرت محترف؟
أنا في الكويت كنت بجهز مع كابتن هنا في الأكسجين اسمه أحمد النقي. جهزنا مع بعض وخدت الكارت هنا في شهر البطولة في هنا في شهر 4.
He got it in 2018. 2018 صح؟ And there was a Kuwait amateur. It was here in Kuwait. He was training with a trainer at Gold's Gym. His name is Ahmed Al-Naqi.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, Oxygen Gym.
Oh, you're Oxygen then. You're Oxygen, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So he was with Ahmed Al-Naqi, and then he got his pro card there.
Oh, fantastic. So
he got it 2 years ago.
I remember seeing the pictures, and I was thinking, why is this guy not turned pro before? Because it took a while to turn pro there.
يعني طولت عشان تصير محترف.
كانت كل مرة على الستيج والفياز كل مرة على الستيج كانت بيحصل فيه غلطة. وغير كده موضوع الفياس كانت أنا مثلا قدمت على اسبانيا كذا مرة كانت بتترفض وكل ما اقدم على بطولة كانت المشكلة معاه في الفياس كتير.
I think he's facing also what a lot of people in the Middle East face is visas. Right. So he tried to go to Spain a few times, but to do some shows there, it always got rejected. Also, his load, like the day of the show, he'll look great a couple days before, but then on the show, something is off, and then he doesn't look so good anymore. So it's a combination of things, you know?
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. So you train at when things are okay, you went from Oxygen to Gold's Gym, yeah?
انت كنت لما رحت من اكسجين لجولدز؟
انا لغايه دلوقتي انا شغال في جولدز وهم عاملين لي سبونسرشيب بس انا كنت بروح بس للمدرب اتمرن معاه وبس اكتر من كده. يعني انا علاقتي بالاكسجين بس كنت بتمرن مع مدرب بس هم ماليش دعوه بالتيم بره التيم. He's always been with Gold's Gym, so he worked there. Now he's sponsored by them, but because Ahmed Al-Naqi is part of Oxygen, so he would go train with him. Yeah. But his connections is only to Gold's Gym. He's not part of the Oxygen team.
Right. Okay. Did you get to see any of the other Oxygen guys like Ahmad Ashkanani or Nathan or Rolly?
Yeah, he would see them when he'd go there. Yeah, they're always there.
Yeah. How big is Kuwait? Is it? Do you bump into these guys?
Kuwait is big, isn't it? It's tiny. It's very tiny.
Is it really? I know Bahrain's quite a small place. That's about a million people in total, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's probably pretty much the same size as Bahrain. It's a really small country. Like if you go to the mall, you can run into them. Like it's not that big.
Yeah. So when did you start working with Chris Acito?
وقت اشتغلت مع كريس؟
قبل بطولة تامبا بأسابيع بسيطة.
Before Tampa by a few weeks. من 5-6 أسابيع. أو أقل من هيك. So the summer before, so a couple, before 5 weeks before.
Yeah. Are you okay with the language barrier, or do you translate for him and type type everything for him?
كيف اللغة بينك وبينهم ولا أنا بترجم لك؟
أنت بترجم.
I'm always with him. So yeah, I'm always there translating. Yeah. But he's trying to learn. He's working on it. He's on it, but he still needs to practice it. So he knows a little bit.
Yeah.
But just he needs to practice.
I thought he looked very good at the Tampa. I liked it because the waist was smaller. I noticed the waist was a lot smaller at Tampa.
شكله كان كتير حلو في تامبا. الوسط تبعه كان كتير أصغر من العادة.
بعد الانتقاد اللي حصل معاه في البطولة الأولانية بتاعتي، فبدأت أشتغل على العيوب بتاعتي، فعلى الفاكيوم بلانك اشتغلت عليها فترة طويلة. وكانت المشكلة عندي كبيرة برضك في النفخة بتاعت المعدة على طول. فجو رشح لي المنتج اسمه روفينس، ساعدني كتير في ان هو يريح لي معدتي. فالنفخه بتاعت طول الوقت ما كانتش موجوده.
I think when we did Indie Pro, something nice they did was they sent us an email of their feedback of what everybody's lacking, kind of, or what they need to work on. And of course, like a bloated stomach was one of them. And then it helped him like to do a lot of vacuum training, planks, and he focused on his midsection a lot more. برضه كمان انت اللود تبعك يوم البطوله كان مختلف عن العاده صح؟
اللود اختلف معاك كتير في عضلات الفات وعمليه دخل الجوان.
Yeah, I think working with Chris also the way he did the load that day, it worked with him better. It didn't blow him or it didn't fill up his stomach too much. Also, he's saying how Joe, he works with AD. He's the owner of the AD.
Joe Binley. Joe Binley from Anabolic Designs.
Yeah, so he's been using Ravenous, and that helps with the bloating.
Yeah.
So he's always struggling with it. Like for years, he's had a bloated stomach. Yeah, he's saying like that made a huge difference, like throughout, not just during prep, but throughout the year. If your gut is relaxed and feeling better, then on the day of the show, you see it more. So he's been using that and it helped him a lot.
Do you know what I think I noticed? I think you're saying that Chris Aceto loaded you differently because at Tampa, he wasn't as full. But it made his waist smaller because he's got such full round muscle anyway. I think bringing him in flatter, it really brought the midsection right in. I thought it was a really good move.
انه هي كانت خطوه كويسه ان هو ما عملكاش لود كبير فما ينفكاش انت هيك كنت يعني عضلاتك يعني فيها رادنس. I agree. Yeah.
أنا بصراحة أول مرة يعني اللود يطلع معاه 100% صحي.
To be honest, he's saying it's the first time he's done like a load that good, and he's surprised. Like even though we hadn't worked with Chris for that long, but on the day of like حتى أنت كنتش تعرف يعني there was مفيش مية.
غير كده المشكلة كانت معاه في الأول كلها يعني يوم المسرح.
Yeah, like he's always had that problem where on the day of the load is not, there's something missing, right? Either a bloated stomach or he's retaining water or something. But on the day of, the load was great at Tampa.
Like honestly, the Tampa looked really, really good. I think the waist was smaller because it sets everything off. Hassan does not miss any. He's got no body parts missing at all. That's a really good thing about his physique.
جسمك يعني في عيب أو كذا أنت متكامل يعني. That's good to know. Thanks.
So what do you think your best body part is? I think I know.
شو أحسن شيء بجسمك عضلة بجسمك بتحبها بنظرك يعني؟ هو عارف بس بيسألك يعني.
هي الليجز.
He's saying legs. That's why.
That's
what everyone would say.
I was thinking legs or arms really because they're just so thick and freaky, you know.
And they're looking better now. This prep is different. لازم أحسن برضه يعني هتعملهم. Yeah, a full year with Chris, it's gonna be different.
Yeah.
لا السنة دي مثلا حتى أول مرة أوصل 136 بس ماشي يعني عضلاتي فايقة مش بادي فات عالي كتير.
Yeah, he's saying this year he got to 136 kilograms in wait. Let me do pounds. Hold on.
What?
You guys only do pounds.
5'6", Khalid.
Okay, so 299. Let's say 300.
Hang on a minute.
It's the first time he got to that weight, but also didn't look so like. Yeah. He said usually if he gets to that weight, and sometimes like he often does, but his body fat would be too high. This time he looked good at that weight.
300 pounds at 5'6".
Sorry?
300 pounds at 5'6".
Yes. انت بطولك ووزنك يعني. Yeah, he's a big guy.
I think he needed the ravenous to digest all that food. So how much
ravenous عشان تهضم الأكل. Yes, it helps. I see it.
It does. Yeah, it's a good product. So how much protein were you eating in the off season to kind of put that kind of size on?
قد إيه بتاخد بروتين في الأوف سيزون عشان يعني وزنك يصير الوزن هذا؟ Per meal? Like, do you want per meal?
Per day.
هو كريس ما شاء الله عليه ما فيش جدول ثابت. كريس بيبعت لي الجدول على تبع
he's saying with Chris it changes a lot. Like every other day or every week there's a new one. بس يعني in general شو بالعامة 300
في كل وجبة.
About 300 grams per meal.
So 300 grams of
chicken or chicken.
الفراخ 200 السمك اللحم 250 وكان 7 بيضات كمان تقريبا.
So 250 grams of chicken per meal, 7 full eggs for breakfast, some beef, also about 250 as well. But that changes. Sometimes a little higher, sometimes it's less.
See, that's the thing with Chris Aceto. He changes the food like day to day, doesn't he? He doesn't just he'll look at the pictures and he'll change your food every couple of days if necessary.
Yeah. Every time we send him a picture, there could be changes in the meal. Yeah. So you would think it doesn't make a much difference, but it does, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us your training style and training split. Is there a lot of heavy free weights or?
تمرينات عالية كل شو لأن جدول تمرينك. كيف بتحب تتمرن؟
تمرين عادي في الصبح الكارديو وبالليل ممكن أيام أسابيع ساعات باخد مثلا عضلة واحدة بس بتمرن لها مجموعات كتيرة وأسبوع تاني ممكن بلعب عضلة كبيرة وعضلة صغيرة وبقسم برك المجموعات عليها.
He's going off so much, I'm not going to remember what you're saying. He's saying that he changes it often, so every other week or every couple of weeks he'll do different splits.
Right.
So it'll always be about an hour cardio in the morning on an empty stomach, and then in the afternoon he'll do one big muscle group, high, not reps, high. When you do different ones, you had that. I don't know why I'm blanking.
Superset.
So when you do different exercises, what is it called?
Training split?
No, like there's reps and sets.
Okay, sorry. Right.
Yes. Something so silly. So he'll do like a high set. كم set تعمل؟ كم تمرينة مثلا 6 وحدات عدد كبيرة. So he'll do about 6 by 4. So 6 different 6 exercises times 4 sets. Okay.
Right. Okay. 24 sets. Okay. So with legs like that, what kind of squatting is what's the best numbers he's ever squatted? Big legs like that.
شو السكوات اللي بتعمله أو شو السر أو شو الأرقام اللي أنت يعني أحسن شيء وصلت لها في السكوات؟
مش موضوع أنا بالنسبة لي بتمرن مش موضوع الوزن. مش بركز ان انا يعني احط وزن تقيل او ان انا اكسر وزن معين. المهم ان انا اطلع من الجوله مش قادر ما فيش.
He's saying when he's training he never focuses on the number that he's lifting. It's more of by the time he finishes his workout he's unable to walk, so it's mostly on him doing a lot of what's it called, the technique. He focuses a lot. If you notice his training كل بطيء في التكنيك because he's very slow, so he feels it. Like he does a lot of muscle connection, so that helps him a lot.
So say he squats tomorrow, what kind of weight is he putting on for good form?
لو هنعمل مثلا بكره تمرين سكوات شو الوزن اللي هتحطه بالفورم الكويس اللي تعرف تستمر فيه يعني؟
طبعا البرنامج اللي ماشي عليه. انا مثلا الاسبوع مثلا
اعلى شيء يعني اعلى شيء مثلا بتعمله وانت مرتاح او قادر عليه كم بليت؟
لا 5 200 والبار.
He doesn't know the weights, but basically 5 on each side with the bar.
I was gonna say it's gonna be 4 or more really with legs like that, even if it's for 20 reps.
He doesn't do just like little weights, but the focus is not the weight.
Yeah.
But he is able to lift heavy.
Yeah.
إنه بقول يعني مش هتعمل أنت يعني أوزان خفيفة بس إنه يعني أكيد 4 أو أكتر. Yeah, 5 on each basically.
Okay.
And that's him doing it like comfortably, like that's not his rep max or anything.
Yeah.
شو أكتر شيء ممكن توصل له سكوات؟
احترمي 400 300.
He's never actually calculated it. He's trying to figure it out.
Oh, okay.
He's saying 200 kilos. I don't know what that.
200 kilos. That's 4.5. But yeah, it's about 5 plates a side. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, that's what he normally does. Yeah.
That's more than I can do.
Yeah.
So is the goal this year to get to the Olympia?
هدفك تروح الأولمبيا? Yes, of course, 100%. Hopefully.
I think honestly, I think he could do really well. I think he's one of the. I think Hassan is one of the most underrated pros. I think he just needs to do a few more shows. Hopefully, get to America more. Get a couple. I'd like to see him win a couple of European shows. You know, just to kind of get a couple of wins under his belt.
أكتر واحد يعني الناس مش عاملين له حساب يعني مش مركزين عليه بس أنت تستاهل يعني تكسب إنه تقدر تكسب. بس إنه حابب إنه تروح على أمريكا وكندا على أمريكا وأوروبا أكتر.
إن شاء الله ده يعني الخطة اللي جاية إن شاء الله.
نروح احنا هنعمل كل البطولات في امريكا
ان شاء الله.
If the airport opens, to be honest, this plan for this year is we're gonna stay in the States until he qualifies.
Yeah.
So there is
good.
Boston Pro, there's Chicago Pro, there's California Pro, New York Pro. All these are happening just before the end of October, right?
Yeah.
If they happen. But the thing is also, again, it's visas. So with right now we have the American visa, we can go there easily. It's Europe, we haven't really tried, and it didn't go through, so that's always been the problem.
Hang on a minute. So America's easier than getting to Europe for visas?
Sorry?
So America for you is getting easier to get to than Europe?
بقول أمريكا أسهل إن تروح على أمريكا من أوروبا.
That's weird.
مش أسهل.
احنا ما جربناش الصراحة.
No, it's not easier. We didn't really. He only tried to do Spain about 3 times, and that got rejected. But after we got the American visa, we kind of just focused on that.
Yeah, I didn't.
We didn't really try to apply anything else.
See, I didn't realize you even needed a visa to go from Kuwait to Spain. So you need one.
كانش يعرف إنه أنت محتاج فيزا عشان تروح من الكويت لإسبانيا أو هكذا.
أنا أزمنت كان فيها بطولة العالم اترفضت 4 مرات. أنا كنت كانت بطولة العالم هناك قبل البطولة بأسبوع 4 مرات.
Wow. So he said with Spain he tried to actually apply 4 times for the World Championships, and he would be fully prepared. Like it would be like a couple of days before the show, and he's done his prep and everything, and then boom, he can't go. So it's a heartbreak. Like I feel bad.
قبل البطولة بأسبوع.
Yeah, a week before.
أنا مقدم ومستني الرد ومكمل زي ما أنا.
And he's ready and everything, you know.
حتى الجيم عندي لهم تعاون ان هم يرجعوني تاني البلد ولو ما رجعتش يدفعوا غرامه غرامه ان انا لو ما رجعتش.
Yeah, and he would give them like all documents and how the gym is responsible, and if he doesn't come back, it's their responsibility, and you know, like he'll do everything that's needed, but it just doesn't go through.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's the shit. Well, at least you can get to America. At least you can compete. And I would love to see. You qualify, get to the Olympia this year. I wanted to give you some publicity because I think it's important to give guys like yourself some promotion, and so the American fans and all the bodybuilding fans can get to see you. You know.
Yeah, that would be great. I think what's really nice too is he has a 5-year visa to the States, so we're good for a couple of years.
Yes.
We don't have to worry about it. So that's comforting.
Yeah, fantastic.
He's so used to them rejecting their visa. When he went to the American embassy, the lady's like, "Okay, you're good. Like we accept. Like you're granted the visa." He's like, "How? Are you sure? Are you sure?"
Oh, that's
it's
great.
actually sad because there's a lot of talented people that are able to kind of do so well in shows, and then they can't because of logistic reasons like that. You know.
Yeah.
So this is another reason why a lot of people don't qualify for a pro card as early as they should.
Yeah, well, okay then. Okay.
It's good now.
Okay, I think we're starting to lose a bit of a connection here, so I think we'll wrap this up. But really appreciate you coming on. I'm really excited for this year, for 2020. I really hope to see you at the Olympia, because I think we like to see the new faces at the Olympia, you know, in December.
هون كثير متحمس شوفك انه عشان انت وش جديد وهيعمل يعني فرق كثير في الاولمبياد.
والله انا بسعى لاخر عشان احقق حاجه زي كده ان شاء الله.
He's trying his best. He's doing everything he can. He's doing a full-on prep, even though he's not sure he's going to do it or not.
Oh wow!
But we're ready. We're ready. If the world opens up, we're ready to do a show.
Fantastic. Well, let's hope all things get back to normal very, very soon. So yeah, I guess we'll see you on stage in the USA very, very soon. And I really, really hope to see you on stage in Las Vegas, December.
Inshallah. I hope so. Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'll see you very, very soon. And welcome back to MD Global Muscle here at the On the RiZe Media Studio with me, your host, Giles Thomas. And we are joined by, all the way from Switzerland, Nicolas Vullioud. Yay! Yeah, Nicolas, how are you, mate?
I'm fine, thank you. That's my pleasure. I'm happy to be here with you.
Yes, well, was it? I just looked on the Skype there, and it said you were on. Well, it was just over a year ago.
Yeah, maybe. I think so. Yeah.
So then, mate, right? Okay, now for the sake of the viewers, maybe not aware of you, you've kind of just popped up again out of obscurity. Tell us. Because obviously your career, you were everywhere. You're all over social media. It was, you know, you seem to be kind of really kind of out there. And then all of a sudden, bang, you just kind of disappeared. What happened and why? Tell us.
No, actually, after the Olympia in 2018, Patrick, my coach, and we have decided to change the approach. I was actually very heavy to make the 212.
Yeah.
So
you struggled, didn't you?
So we decided to reduce the weight, and we said, okay, let's take a year off just to reset everything, and it's gonna be a good way also to give a break to my body.
Yeah.
So we did just nothing. So I just stayed like relaxed for 1 year. I've just traveled. I did seminars. I've tried to do something different. I was training, of course, but not doing anything special.
Yeah.
And the plan was just to be able to bring back something different, you know, just a different aesthetism, different look, and in order to compete in the 212 division.
But 2018 wasn't a bad year for you. So, I mean, I know you just missed the top 10 at the Olympia in 2018. Was it 12th place you were?
11th.
11th. I mean, so you just missed the top 10. I remember I was there at the Olympia, and I was... And Patrick was disappointed because you were third call out, and I was just like, look, this has been a good year. So what did you really need to change? I mean, I'm just trying to work out why you felt the need to take a year off to reset everything. Tell us.
I have so much weight to lose. I think I had to drop. I think the day before the weight in. I had to lose 4 kilos the day before.
9 pounds.
So and I was doing 2 weeks without any carbs. We reduced everything. I was doing cardio twice a day. I was doing my cardio outside, you know, in Vegas. So
yeah,
I was walking. Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah.
And but the weight didn't change. The physique didn't change. I could actually step on stage at 100 kilos, so 220.
220.
Yeah. So we said, okay, we have to do something. I could do the Open, but I have to be realistic, and I'm not competitive enough to make something good in the Open. And to have so much mass with my frame, with my height, I'm not sure it's something good in the long term for my health.
Right,
so,
okay.
So then we said, okay, so let's work on the 212. So we have to stay on the 212. And we said, okay, if we don't need to have this quantity of muscle, so let's reduce a bit. And the fact to reduce a bit, that will help to get a better line, a better waist, and I will probably step on stage with maybe 1 or 2 kilo less than the 212. But I will probably look not better, but it's a different line. It's going to be a different line, I guess. So Yeah.
So wait, let me get this straight. So there's bodybuilders taking years off, taking a year off to come back 10 kilos heavier. You're taking a year off to come back 2 kilos lighter.
Yeah, I know.
It's just, I've never heard of that before.
No, but we you know Patrick, so we really try to find the best approach, the smartest way to stay healthy, competitive, and realistic, you know, and that's why we took this decision together.
Yeah. So how tall are you, Nicolas?
165.
Oh God, again. They give a Sorry, all the guests have been given it in centimeters. Is that what, 5'3"?
I think it's 5'5" or 5'4".
So okay, so say you're 5'4", 5'5". Why not go open when you've seen the success of Hadi, William Bonac, even Dexter's only 5'6"? You know, why are you so? Why are you both so against going into the Open? I mean, to take a year off to kind of pull everything back and reset everything. Because I remember seeing pictures of you. I mean, like even at like 8-9 weeks out, you looked almost stage ready at what, 230?
Yeah.
I mean, what would Patrick say with no weight restriction? What do you think you could have come in at your kind of heaviest, but still contest ready, dry, and you know, and ready to compete? What would you, 225, 230?
Yeah, 230. I think it's something I could do. Yeah, because last year 2 years ago before the Portugal Pro, I was ready at 105-6 kilos. So it's about 230. 230, yeah.
Have you not rethought it now? Like, I mean, I keep using the example of Hadi because you came, you had a really good battle with Hadi in 2018 at that Portugal show. Have you not rethought that maybe with the success of the shorter guys doing very well? I mean, top 3 at the Olympia. I mean, Brandon's only like 5'8". You know, these guys are kind of your height. Why not just, rather than kind of pull back, just maybe go for it?
But you know, Hadi is like this guy is not. He's not normal, you know.
Well, you're not exactly a slouch yourself, mate.
No, but I think that day, that was my lucky day. You know, with Patrick, we made everything perfect on track. We found perfect timing with everything, and that was my best look. So now, if I'm able to bring it again, probably yes. But I'm not sure if I can do it at 100% at this with the same physique again. Yeah. And moreover, that day Hadi was looking really good, and even if people they still talk about that show, he beat me like on every poses, you know. So
I wouldn't say he blew you off the stage, mate. I mean, I think he took you on the back shot because that's the one area I feel like you needed to. Well, I spoke to Patrick Tour, your coach, about this, and he said, like, you know, you need to take some time off to really bring your back up, to kind of bring it into balance with your legs, your arms, your shoulders, your chest. You know, I mean, I wouldn't say he blew you off the stage, mate.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, to compare myself with Hadi, it's just, I mean, we saw what Hadi did at the last Olympia. I mean, he was third. Yeah. And in my opinion, that's my opinion, but he should won the show. That's what I think. Yeah. But so you see the guy who was in the 212 division, now he's going to the Open at the Olympia, and he's killing everyone. So this guy is just out of
but he's not
the world.
He's not like coming in 20 pounds heavy. He's only coming in 3 or 4 pounds over. He's only like 216, 218 on stage in the Open Mr. Olympia, making top 3. What's to stop you coming at 230 and making a big splash in the Open class? That's what I'm getting at.
But the thing is, to be, I mean, I don't know how William and all these guys they do, but to have so much mass on this short height, it's a lot of pressure, you know. Right. And I didn't feel really healthy during the whole year, you know. So I think it's also on that aspect that we have decided to change a bit, because we know that maybe I can do 2-3 shows like this, but I'm not sure if I can keep doing it for 10-15 years, you know. Right. So and I think this is also purely genetic, because some guys like maybe Dexter you said, he can do it, and his body has a good response, and he can do it like many years like this. But I'm not really sure I can do it, because even myself, without having any trouble, I wasn't really comfortable, you know. So I said I really prefer just to slow down a bit, keep a lighter weight, and keep doing something in the 212 division. And I still have a lot of work to do. So
yeah. I think that's smart, because if you use, say, Sean Ray or Lee Priest as examples, I mean, I remember the one year that Sean Ray tried to come in a little bit heavier, and he got his lowest placing ever, and then he kind of went back to, like, his physique over a 13-year period. His body weight didn't really fluctuate at all, but he managed to improve his physique every single year. He made it more refined, more balanced, more aesthetic. So I think what you're getting at, and I think I have spoke to Patrick about this personally, and he said, I think Nicolas, kind of his best look and his healthiest look is as a 212. So is that why you felt you had to really step back? I mean, was that hard for you to do as an athlete, to try and take a step back when you were kind of just on the rise, you know, and you looked great? I mean, you won Tampa. You looked amazing there.
That was a very tough process, yeah, because I wanted to compete, of course, but the chance I have with Patrick, and that's why I love Patrick, is that he always tried to see in the long term. You know, it's not someone busy. He really takes time to explain you that you need. Yeah, I mean, that's a long process, and that's something I really understood. So I said, okay, I know it's going to be long, but I'm going to do it, because and I did it. Actually, usually, and that's actually a bit my problem. I can gain a lot of weight in a very short amount of time. Okay. So in 2-3 months, I'm able to add 25 pounds easily, and easily. But that's not something healthy, you know. Right.
So, okay. Because you keep saying health, and I know, without going into too much detail, Patrick is more on the conservative, let's say, side of protocols and approach. So you keep saying health, and I don't want people to think that, oh, it's just because you've been pummeling a load of, you know, doing a lot of unhealthy practices to get to a ridiculous body weight. You know, it's more because you get too heavy on your frame. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. That's this. Yeah. And what I was doing in 2-3 months, this time I did it maybe in 10 months.
Right.
You see? And I really, and this process just changed totally my physique, because today I don't have the same waist as before. Oh, great. And I'm not as heavy as before too. Yeah. But the line is completely different.
Yeah. So what are you weighing now then?
It's 230.
240. That's not
230.
230. See, that's great. I mean, really I've looked at your recent social media, and you're not holding, you never really hold a lot of body fat. So really, that to get 18 pounds to do 212, that's not like the stress you went through. Like you said, you're doing cardio in Las Vegas and having to, like, you know, the stress you had to go under to get down to that 212. So you think the next prep, it's going to be a lot easier, because you prep over a long time, don't you?
Yeah, it's going to be easier, and probably, as you said, less stress for my body. Yeah. Because I don't know if you remember, but when I started my pre-contest diet 2 years ago, I was almost at 250, 245 pounds. and I was lean. I mean, I didn't have any fat. So that's why, I don't know if you remember, but I think Patrick texted you one day just to ask you about what we should do. Like, should we do open or should we do 212? And so we were like, yeah, we didn't really know what we had to do. So we don't want to be in this situation again. So that's why we choose this.
Do you know what? It's so refreshing to hear a coach and an athlete both sharing the same views on something that isn't, because bodybuilding is a very short-term mentality. It's very short-term. It's like, next show, that's all that matters. The next prep, that's all. You're kind of looking more like, you know, in terms of your overall well-being and your health. and also your success as an athlete, because, you know, if you're coming in like drained and, you know, and you're just scraping through to get into the 212, you know, and your waistline's blown out, you're not going to be presenting the best version of you. So you've kind of gone like one step back to go 2 steps forward to kind of keep yourself within that parameter of the 212 class. So what are the plans next then for you now you've kind of come back into the scene?
So now I'm going to compete again in the 212. So I have to pick up a show. I would like to do something this year, but as you know, with the COVID situation, it's pretty complicated. So I'm still doing like if I'm prepping, so I follow the process. And as soon as I'm sure that I can travel, I can do everything at 100%, I will announce what I'm going to do. So, but I want to do something this year, because I think this year is a very particular year, especially with the Olympia.
Yeah.
And we never know what can happen, but maybe I can do a show this year. I can win. I can do the Olympia top 3. I don't know. You know.
Oh, come on! Oh, I'd love to see you in the Olympia, mate. Come on, because I think there's some real vacancies in that 212, man. I'd love to see. You know, especially with Flex leaving. I think it's there's real opportunity there to kind of. I'd love to see you in that Olympia this year.
Yeah, but I think the Olympia now in the 212 it's very open, because I'm not saying that Sean or Kamal, all these guys, they don't have any. I mean, they're not good, but we have more chances to win or to do like a top 3 than before, because when they were Jose Ramon, when they were Flex Lewis, we knew that this guy, they were playing the top 3 for sure.
Yeah. Unless they do something drastically stupid, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now I think everyone can do something. So that's why everyone is dangerous.
Yeah.
So I can play my card as well.
Yeah. So were you impressed with what did you think of the Olympia last year with the 212?
That's not the best Olympia I saw in the 212 division, to be honest.
Okay.
But the top three is looking good.
Yeah.
I think Derek really he could win the 212 division, but
he could win it 5 years in a row. That kid.
Yes. So he was a little bit watering, a little bit flat, and but he has the potential to be one of the best 212 in the game. So yeah. So but. As I said, it's very open, because if Derek is not, I think Derek, if he's at 100%, he gonna win the Olympia. But I never saw him at 100%.
Yeah.
So if he's on track, he gonna win, and nobody can beat his line, crazy front double bicep, his waist.
Yep.
He has a really good look, and but if he's not ready, I mean, everyone can do something. I think so.
Yeah. Do you think people underestimated Kamal?
The what?
Do you think people underestimated Kamal?
Yeah, even me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think he would be so good. So he was filled, shredded.
It's fantastic.
I mean, the condition was insane. So he deserved the first place for sure. Yeah. And he's still dangerous, of course.
Yeah. There's some really good 212s coming out of Europe. I tell you who really impressed me was Angel Calderon from Spain.
From Spain, yeah.
Very good. I saw him. He was like the like in the Open last year. I thought Patrick Moore was a real kind of shining. He was the one that everyone was kind of talking about, and was excited about as the new face. And you had Angel, who was Engel, I think is how you pronounce it, and he was 10th, and then he won Romania, and he looked incredible there. But he was. I saw him in Spain when I took Brandon Curry on the Olympia All-Star tour. And he stripped off for Brandon, and Brandon's face was like, "Whoa, this guy is packing some size," and his legs were a lot more balanced. And there's some really good, who else is there? Some other really good 212s from Europe. There's yourself. I'm so happy to see you back on the scene now, mate. It's so good to see you, mate. Seriously. I was really because last year it was like all this was building and building and building. And then, you know, and obviously it was for the right reasons. And I'm glad that you and Patrick have taken this decision. And I'm glad that you're in a better place and you feel more comfortable and you're more kind of confident going into the 212 class. But, yeah, who else have we got in Europe? Who else is really, really good? Can you think of any names?
In the 212, you mean?
Yeah.
I think the guy from Spain, Angel, looks really good.
Yeah.
I like one guy from America, Dwayne Q.
Oh, Dwayne Q. Yeah. He's funny.
he's actually light because I saw his weight. He's not one of the heaviest. But
he's like 190. He's like 190. He's like Dave Henry sort of. He's one of these guys. He looks like he's pushing the 212 limit, but he's actually a good 10, 15 pounds under.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, but he looks so round. You know, like great roundness.
Yeah.
And he has a really nice physique. I think he can do something pretty well too. Now there's still Derek, Dwayne, and maybe we're gonna see some guys. I think George Peterson is doing the 212 now, right?
Yeah. He was on a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, George the Bull Peterson. Yeah, the classic.
So it's gonna be interesting to see what he can do. So. Yeah, that's why I said that's very open. That's very open.
It's funny though because George really struggled to make the classic weight, and now he's put so much muscle on. I think he's going to struggle to make. 212. Seriously.
Yeah, so we will see. Maybe he's going to jump in the open. We don't know, but he looks more like an open than a 212. I think.
Well, he's 5'8".
Yeah,
that's tall.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah. So going back to yourself, when did obviously you had the year off? When did Patrick say, right, Nicolas, we start back now and we start back hard? Because I remember I interviewed you for Flex Magazine years ago, and I remember I think it was yourself in like a little mini interview, and you said that Patrick's told me many times. He says, Giles, he said you've watching Nicolas train. He said it's like he puts his heart and soul into every single set. And I said, I think once you burst into tears in the middle of a workout, he said, because you were so spent, you were giving so much of your energy and your like soul into that set. It kind of just, it's like an all or nothing attitude, So yeah, tell us. When did you start back really with the foot on the gas?
In December.
Okay.
Last year. Yeah. So I took really 10, 11 months really relax. Then I started to come back slowly. That was around October. But just getting back a routine with my meals and everything. And in December, then we said, okay, now we start to put more intensity, more weight. And I think I kept the same physique for almost I would say until April, May. And then suddenly my body just changed in 1 or 2 weeks. I don't do anything more or something different, but it's just my body is like this. I do a few months and then suddenly it reacts, and we don't know. That's the way I work.
The thing is, to have an athlete like yourself who's so hungry and so driven, to have you kind of pop, did it feel really good when you really got to kind of really go for it again? Yeah,
that took a lot of time because, when you take a year off like this, you lose everything. You lose your stamina, your energy, your focus. And yeah, honestly, and the fact to come back, it's pretty hard just to find back this energy. You need a certain time just to get back on track again, because you took some time, and instead of doing, or I would say being focused on bodybuilding, I was doing something else.
Yeah.
So my energy was somewhere else.
Right.
And I had to find a way to get back this energy, to put it at the right place again. And I needed a few months really.
A few months to click back into place.
Yeah.
What was hardest? Was it harder mentally or was it harder physically?
Mentally.
Okay.
Yeah, mentally. Physically, I know. I mean, it's I was doing something a bit less with the weight and the intensity, but mentally it's more complicated because you see your physique through the mirror, and you look like a small guy again.
Well, I wouldn't say you look small, mate. It's like, come on.
Yeah, but that's
for
something,
you. Yeah.
It's hard to. That's pretty hard to accept. Yeah.
Right.
And but deep inside me, I knew that was something temporary. So I know that would come back, because the physique is not something definitive. You can change it as often as you want.
Yeah.
So I knew this, and I think that's really what really helped me to stay on track, because it's not easy. That's not an easy process. Yeah.
That's good. I would have thought it would, because obviously you've been sort of held back. I would have thought maybe a couple of weeks and bang, you're straight back into it. But it's interesting to hear that it took you a couple of months mentally to even kind of snap back into that kind of killer mode. It's so on that year off. What were you up to? What were you doing?
I travel a lot. So as you know, Patrick is doing the SST concept. So I had the chance to do seminars about the SST. So I went to Mexico, to Spain, to Turkey, to many different countries. So I did this. That was a good way to make money, to be honest. So
yeah, good.
Not so bad. And yeah, I mean, I had the chance also to meet a lot of people, to get some relationships, to get some work for the future as well.
Good.
And that was just a different. I think it's another part of bodybuilding. That's something I will probably do when I will decide to retire. I mean, to be retired.
Yeah. Because obviously, those years previously, you were kind of building your body and building your kind of your competitive career. But in this year off, you were building your profile. I spoke to Flex Lewis about this. He said those times when he couldn't train and eat properly, when he was traveling with sponsors, he said in another way it was just as valuable because it allowed me to network and build a global. Yeah. Kevin Levrone said the same. He said this traveling with these different things I do. He said it allows you to grow your kind of network, you know, it's which can create opportunities way past after you finish competing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. So that's why right now I want to compete. So
yeah, you got the fire back.
Yeah, but as you said, it's something also linked to what I do. So that's a good thing. That was a good thing.
Yeah, good. So what do you think is going to happen at the Olympia this year then?
You know what? I'm not even sure if it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So So I'm more. I don't know if Phil is gonna do the Olympia. I would like to see him back on stage because I really think he's the man.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if he can fix his stomach, nobody can beat him, to be honest. Even people like Sean, or I think he's the guy really right now, like Ronnie Coleman when he was competing before.
Yeah.
So I only see him as the big guy, big winner. But now it's I think guy like Holly Winkler, those guys, they can make a top 3, for example.
Yeah.
But they really need to bring again something more.
Well, Rolly was like yourself. He needed a bit of time off. Last year was last year was a disaster for him. Last year, let's face it, because he had such a successful year in 2018. He was 3rd in the Olympia, and he was really like hot on Phil and Sean Roden's heels. So like he needed a time off. So if he comes back at his absolute best, So what about Brandon? Do you think Brandon can get that second Sandow? With a full year, because don't forget last year he had the Arnold and the Olympia to peak for.
But he looks great, but that's not the guy I don't know, every Mr. Olympia that I got in mind, they were like, I mean, you can't say anything, you see?
Right, okay.
They are the winners. And that year, I think we can talk a bit. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve or anything like this, but that was really more open. Even the top 3, I think it was really, really, really close.
Yeah.
And that's why I said I thought Hadi could really win the Olympia. So yeah. I mean, I think the big problem of Brandon it's his legs. He really needs to bring up a bit his legs, and if he can do it, then he can win again for sure.
So, sorry to interrupt. I put this in my MD Global Muscle BuzzCom. I said, okay, then the call out I'm really, really hoping for is Hadi Choopan, Flex Lewis, and William Bonac. 3 X212s with no weight restriction at their best. Because obviously William wasn't even at 100% last year. He was a little bit downside. He was like 220-ish. He was kind of 10 pounds. He had the leg injury. Still took 2nd place. You got Hadi, who kind of is, I mean, I don't understand how he looks that good at 218 or whatever he is. I mean, so say he could be probably a little bit heavier. And then you've got Flex Lewis. At their best, who wins and why? Here we go. He's very come on.
Yeah. That's a really tough. comparison.
I can see it. I can see it in your eyes. You want to tell me. You want to tell me.
My heart would say Flex Lewis because I love him.
Yeah.
But I've competed with Hadi Chupan, and this guy comes from another planet. Really, I never saw someone like him. And I've been competing with Ahmad Ashkanani when I was amateur.
Yeah,
and he was impressive. He was really impressive. But Hadi, it's something else. It's really something different, something out of this world.
Why?
And,
Why? Like, say when you're backstage, when did you really, like, because when you're on stage, sometimes when you're being called out for comparisons, you're probably concentrating more on yourself than you are on the person next to you, because there was that call out with just you two. Now, I can't imagine you're spending too much time looking at him. You're probably thinking too much about what you've got to do in the zone in that moment. So what was it, when you were backstage, when you were by the side? When was it that really you thought, shit, this guy is from another planet?
In backstage, yeah, before stepping on stage.
Really?
So I remember I was just behind him, and Patrick was near from me, and I was looking at Hadi. Then I checked Patrick, and I was like,
Patrick started crying.
So that was crazy. So I thought deep inside me, I have to get out of here because that's not my place. But at this time, I think I didn't realize that my physique was pretty good too. So and what really changed the atmosphere is when I step on stage. Yeah. Because Portugal is in Europe, so I had the impression to be at home.
Is in what? Sorry, say that again. Sorry.
I said it was in Portugal, and Portugal is in Europe. And
Europe. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
It was like if I was at home. So I felt that the crowd was a bit with me. Okay. And that really gives you some power, some confidence. And then I felt that, okay, I have to play something now. That's maybe my my show. So I have to do something. So that changed a bit the situation. But at the beginning, I was really worried. So, but that was a really good experience. That's probably, even if I did the Olympia, I think this show is going to be one of the best show I ever did in my life.
Yeah. The Portugal? Yeah.
Portugal.
Well, I went to Portugal with Brandon Curry again, because we did a day and a half in Spain, and then we did a day and a half in Portugal with Gio Ferreri, the promoter. And I was really impressed with him, the overall scene there, the buzz. I definitely want to go back. I think I'm going to do some more Olympia tours with him, with some of the pros, and I definitely want to go back to Portugal. But revolving dance floor.
Yes.
Not dance floor, stage. Sorry, was it? Yeah. Stage. Dance floor. I'm thinking of an old nightclub I used to go to.
No, that was great. Yeah.
Yeah. So, sorry, one question I forgot to ask earlier on. When you've been traveling on this year off with Patrick and building your sort of brand and your profile, what was your favorite place and why?
Mexico.
Mexico. Yeah. Dorian Yates said that. He loves Mexico.
But when I was in Mexico, I was in Mexico City, and I was also in near from Cancun in Cozumel. Okay. And the place was beautiful. And people here, they are what they told me was they don't have the habit to receive people. I mean, they don't have the habit to receive professional people, IFBB pros. So when I arrived at the airport, they came with the camera and everything.
Oh, so nice!
I was impressed, and
good.
They were so nice, so good people. So they gave me everything. We know that Mexico is not a country with a lot of money. We all know that, but they gave me everything. They gave me everything they had. So that's really a good culture. Good people, and I will definitely come back there because I had the chance to create a lot of relationships there.
Good.
I'm still in touch with people there, and we want to do something more in the future. Yeah. So we're gonna probably work again together. But all the places I went to, Spain, Turkey, everyone was super nice, to be honest. So it's hard to say one country was better than the other one.
I understand.
But Mexico was also something longer because I stayed 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I saw different things, different views, different cities.
Yeah.
And so it's something I really kept in mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're in Geneva, correct?
Next to Geneva, yeah.
Next to Geneva. And I know Patrick, well, obviously used to be in Geneva, but now he's moved to Rome.
Not really. He's
back and forth.
He's in the Italian part of Switzerland.
Oh, right. Okay. I thought he'd moved to Rome with Sylvia.
No, he's still in Switzerland. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fast. Great. So you still manage to kind of connect and see each other regularly and train and.
Yeah, but that's actually Switzerland. You know, you have the mountains in the middle of Switzerland.
Yeah.
So if I want to see him, I have to drive all around Switzerland. So I need 4 hours, 5 hours just to see him. So it's not easy all the time.
Yeah.
But usually we do half of way and we see each other.
That's good.
Somewhere, and we do the check at this time.
That's good. Well, I'm looking forward because I haven't seen Patrick since. God, when have I seen Patrick? Probably at the Olympia last year. I haven't seen him for a while. We stay in touch, we stay in touch. But I'm so glad that you two are still kind of working well together and you're excited for the future. And is Patrick happy with everything you've been up to?
Yeah, I think so. You have to ask him. But
I'll ask him. I'll text him now.
He was satisfied with what I did a few last month. So yeah.
Good. Okay, Nicolas, well, I wanted to get you on for an update, mate, because like I said, it was probably only a few weeks ago you popped up back on Instagram and I was like, you just went like that, and I was like, Nicolas is back. Nicolas V, because I couldn't pronounce his name. Nicolas Vullioud. And
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I said it only took me 2 years. Okay, well, like I've said, the thing is, I've been following your career since 2014, since you were a junior competing in the Arnold Europe. And how old are you now, Nicolas?
29.
29, yeah, I was going to say 29. Yeah, 29, and you've still got, and you've got such a good level-headed approach, and you've got such a good support. Like Flex Lewis has Neil Hill, you've got Patrick. You're like a Europe. Well, I wouldn't say a European version because Neil's European, but you're like a sort of Swiss version, And it's so great to see you two guys are still bonded strongly, and you're kind of moving forward with a healthy, sensible approach. And it's good to know that you've been using your time wisely. And you've been kind of, it's been opening up your world a bit. It's really good to see, and I'm really excited to see you come back to the 212 because, mate, I think you could be literally like a next Flex Lewis. Honestly, I really do think you're really you're Olympia 212 winning material, hands down.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I hope you're right.
Yeah, so do I. It's on camera now. Okay, then, Nicolas. Well, it's always good to catch up, mate. And and I hope to. Are you going to be at the Olympia this year?
I want to be on stage.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Yeah. So you'll definitely be there then.
I hope so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, keep me up to date with what shows you're up to, and hopefully, we'll see you in that first call out at the Olympia with a pro win under your belt.
I hope so too.
All right, Nicolas. Well, take care, mate, and keep working hard, and keep it up, buddy.
Thanks for the invitation, and see you soon.
All right. Thank you, Nicolas.